Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, October 28th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Dan Rubin in just a moment. A lot to get to. Dan has not said anything about the Ohio State-Nebraska game yet. I mean, it was just 2 days ago. So we're going to get Dan's unfiltered thoughts on the Ohio State-Nebraska game, what it means moving forward. We're going to talk a lot about the offensive line. Dan's going to get into that when he's talking about the Nebraska game, I'm sure. What are they going to do moving forward? We're going to talk about a lot of different things, but eventually we're also going to switch gears and talk about targeting. What can be done here? Seems like everybody in college football says there is a problem, but nothing's being done about it. And to me, it's as simple as go with the spirit of the rule. If somebody's headhunting, get them out of there. If it was a great defensive play like Arvell Reese, what are you doing? We're going to get into that. What can be done about it? What should be done about it? And one thing that should be done is you guys need to visit Swenson's. Swenson's drive-in restaurants are fantastic. I have one here in Hilliard. Going to have some later today. And it's an Ohio company. I love Swenson's. At Swenson's, we bring the taste, we bring the hustle, and we bring the smile. Visit SwensonDriveIns.com to find a stand near you. Why do the curb servers at Swenson's drive-ins sprint to your car? Because sometimes you just need a juicy burger and a pumpkin milkshake, and you need it fast. No matter if you're stopping for a quick lunch between meetings, celebrating a Saturday football win, or feeding a late-night craving for burger and fries, our curb servers will be sprinting to serve you. Swenson's Drive-Ins, delivering comfort food to your car window since 1934. Visit Swenson'sDriveIns.com for stand locations. Here's the deal you guys can get. Visit any Swenson's location this week, mention Bucknuts to receive a free small milkshake with any purchase. What a great opportunity to try Swenson's Buckeye Shake made with peanut butter and chocolate. What else, right? Visit Swenson'sDriveIns.com for stand locations. Love Swenson's. All right. Also love Dan Rubin. All right, Dan, the Ohio State escape over Nebraska. Go.
Glad they won. Let's preface that by making it very clear. I think many a nutter could have stopped themselves an hour or two after the game and been like, wait a minute, did we win or not? And they won. I promise you, you can go to any major media organization that has a internet site and check it, check your newspapers. They actually won the game. So let's make sure we understand that. And then in the long run, if you make your adjustments, everything is good. I do want to preface that because my following statements are not going to skew positive, Dave. And I want to make sure it's clear that they won. Okay, so I was accused last week of stating the obvious. I've been accused of much worse on this show. So that was coming out of a Monday show. Just being accused of that was fine because I said this. I felt like if Ohio State didn't turn the ball over, I thought they'd be in good shape. And that's because level playing field, equal number of possessions. If you have the better team, theoretically, you should win the game. So if we can just cut out turnovers. Before the game, I was telling my son this, and I said, I want to add in one more thing. Turnovers, and if they're stopped on fourth down, which made that good because then that was done on the first possession. I didn't have to watch that for the rest of the game. Stopped on downs on the first possession when they get the ball in Nebraska territory, not the best start. So I told people also this, and I did this for the first half. I watched the game without the sound on because I get too impression. I used to watch with the commentators down, the Clats of the world, and listen to Paul Keels and such, which is a very enjoyable listen, but they are in favor of one team over the other, so I don't get the most unbiased start. I was also rewinding each play so that before I went to the next play, I could have a sense of what was going on. And I focused primarily on the offense. Actually, I don't have many complaints about the defense, especially in the first half. Aesthetically, it's not maybe what I want, but if you look at the results of the first half, that's plenty. That's good enough to rock a team out of there. If you get them to punt on their first three possessions, you should win. You should be up 14-0, and they weren't. So I was watching it. Obviously, Zen Michalski did not have a great game and was beaten cleanly on several plays. But I went back and looked at the text exchange I had for the game with my NFL scout, who I feel is one of the best in the business evaluating a live sporting event. And what I wrote to him was, this team is Jekyll and Hyde within possessions. They don't even do it series to series. It's play to play. And yes, Zen struggled, but when you watch them and slow it down, they seem to make – this is going to sound like another one of my statement of the obvious assertions about the offensive line. When they execute the play correctly, and by that I mean just do the play correctly. I'm not saying every guy beats their man. I'm not saying every guy pancakes anybody. I'm saying every guy on the offensive line does what he is assigned to do on that play. The play works perfectly. I'm talking, you could have taken the plays out that they, and I'm literally not saying a guy pancake. They just actually went and did block the right person. The plays worked, not just worked. They're like borderline touchdowns. When everyone executes and actually wins their advantage, they score a touchdown on them almost every time. That sounds like a statement of the obvious. It's not. There are plenty of times you got a clean block and the quarterbacks mess up or the running. That never happened. Yes, Mahalski struggled, but on one of their first plays, Judkins runs right, and Fryer and Tegra, for some reason, take the same guy. A linebacker runs right behind Tegra, stops the play for a loss. Do you guys remember the play where Travion Henderson got shoestringed in the first half? It looked like a play off the right side. Looks like he was about to take off. I'm not saying he was going to score a touchdown, but there would have been a race for the end zone. Plays blocked perfectly, okay, on the play side. On the non-play side, Seth McLaughlin, for some reason, is watching the play, and the non-play side linebacker, who's not even assigned to be blocked on the play because he shouldn't be able to get there, all you have to do is stand in the way, on a dead sprint, runs past McLaughlin, whose head is turned, and gets Trey's ankle. So that's that play. Every single time they would go to do something great, there'd be one mistake made on the offensive line where they're blocking the wrong guy completely. So then you have to ask yourself this question. There's many reasons why someone doesn't do the right thing on a play. Is he not blocking because he doesn't know what he's doing? I doubt that. Is he not blocking because he's not capable? I'm not sure about that either. And is it just a bad scheme? They need to answer these questions. The offensive line is just out of sorts. They make enough mistakes that, I mean, you can't go look at the completion percentage Howard has over the games where he gets protected. The 13 for 15, the starting 10 for 10, you can't do that if you're not playing pretty well. The issue is they tend to make one or two mistakes and it kills them. And they're not physical mistakes. There were several plays where Zen just got beat. I guess, his feet were bad and stuff like that. And I get that. And when you put in a backup, that's going to happen. But they were so bad assignment-wise, like running the offensive linemen were blocking the wrong people. It's hard to know that when you don't know the play call specifically. But when you slow this down, I'm telling you, it's an assignment issue. So then they took Tegra out. Did you notice that? They put Sierraveld in there. Sierraveld can run block. He is not a good pass blocker. We've known this for a while. He went to a high school that did never pass the ball, and he's a very good run blocker, and he can't. So they're grasping at straws, Dave. Take the floor.
Can I jump in real quick? This was discouraging because, now whatever you think of PFF, it goes along with what you're saying. A lot of times, people don't like Pro Football Focus. It's like, how do they know what the play is? Like, sometimes you know what the play is. Like, if somebody screwed up their assignment. Granted, there are times maybe you think maybe you don't. But generally speaking, if you know what you're talking about, you can see if a guy missed an assignment or not. Here's what I didn't expect to see. I expected to see Zen graded very poorly, and he did. Both Tegra and Austin graded worse than Zen, according to PFF.
What I'm saying. That's a fact.
Well, and I didn't think they played well, but I was like, they played better than Zen. Right? No, they didn't. They played worse than Zen. This is a
Zen had a bunch of good snaps. People don't want to hear this. I'm telling you,
just his bad snaps were really bad.
They were terrible, but he had several good snaps where he blocked every time he got a good clean block on there and his assignment sound, they moved the ball. The other guys were not good. I want to be clear on this. The idea that it's very easy on national TV when there's not a lot of depth of coverage and your left tackle was an obvious injury to blame everything on Zen. He did not have a good game. But the idea of, we just need to figure out the left tackle and everything's going to be okay. That is not true. That is far from true. So let's cut Zen Mahalsi a break here. He didn't play well. But the idea that if he had gone out there and played well, they would run up and down the field without any mistakes, that is a total falsehood. Completely. Go back. Right. You can look. I don't have the all-22 tape, and I'm just telling you, and that makes it worse. The fact that you can tell what the mistakes are without the all-22 is terrible. Just watch it. You can see they run to the right. Tegra and Fryer take the right tackle. The linebacker isn't even blocked. He just runs right to Judkins. Even if the play calls for Tegra to block the guy on the right, which it didn't, I don't think. If a guy is running right, you could – football intelligence tells you maybe pick up the linebacker on a dead sprint 3 feet from the running back. So until that's fixed –
Now there's a snowball effect or a domino effect, whatever term you want to use, because now if you put Donnie Jackson at left tackle, which is what they did, and you have to think going into the game, they thought there was maybe a chance someone would get hurt and they would have to do something like that. So they determined that was their best option, was to take Donovan Jackson, move him to left tackle, and then bring in Luke Montgomery. I don't think we've seen him since like the early part of last year at left guard. So let's say Donovan Jackson holds down the fort at left tackle. I mean, there's no way, right, that Luke Montgomery is going to be as good as Donovan Jackson. Not that Donovan Jackson's been playing that good at left guard. But we can agree Luke Montgomery is going to be a drop-off at left guard from Donovan Jackson, right? Safe to say?
Look, man, just get your best 5 out there. At this point, who plays what position and who does what is really irrelevant to me. This program cannot go down the tubes because we lost one player. As good as Josh Simmons was, I'm not going to say as good as Zen was, this can't be the thing that takes you down. I'm sorry. It just can't be. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm tired of the discussion of the money. But even if this was 1974, just figure it out, man. Why is Zen on an island? That's another thing. Right. This is a coaching issue, dude. If you know you're going into a game.
They don't have a tight end that blocks well.
Just figure it out. That's your job.
I don't understand this one right here. Somebody was asking, when do the coaches get any blame? I mean, really? Like, we've been hammering Justin Fry, and Ryan Day's been getting a lot of heat. I mean, I hosted a radio show yesterday, and someone made a point, like, listen, we can blame Justin Fry. He's the second offensive line coach we've had. We can blame Jim Knowles. He's the third defensive coordinator we've had. Goes down the list. This guy's changed. This guy's changed. This guy's changed. This guy's changed. What's the common denominator in the last 6 years? Ryan Day. And I believe in Ryan Day. Maybe I'm crazy, but that was pointed out yesterday, and my rebuttal was, it's a good point. Because you can go down and be like, this guy's at fault. This guy's at fault. This guy's at fault. And I think Justin Fry's doing a horrible job in all aspects. I mean, the fact that he can't recruit.
Not all aspects.
When Zen Mahalski's your best backup left tackle, even if he played okay, which he just didn't play as bad as Austin and Tegra. If that's your best backup tackle at Ohio State, that is awful. That is awful. Well, and we knew it, that they had all these recruiting misses, and now it is hurting them. So anyway, I agree. The coaching staff deserves plenty of criticism, and I think they're getting it.
But there's no – listen, Ryan Day cannot turn on the television and not hear his name castigated nationally. So I don't think that's – people have now – Day is the whipping boy among college coaches now. Everybody feels comfortable taking a shot at him. So the idea that he's not getting any stuff would be a myth.
And Fry's getting hammered too. I mean, everybody's hammering Justin.
No question.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Fry's claim to fame was going to be his California ties, getting a transfer from San Diego State and turning him into a really good left tackle. And then he got hurt. So he's not going to get as much credit for that. But look, if we can go into the portal and go to San Diego State and get a guy who no one had really heard of who played right tackle and turn him into a left tackle, Fry was going to get credit for that. He deserves credit for getting him to the point he was. But he doesn't have the rest of the, you get exposed if you don't have a foundation built there. Patchwork transfer approach does not work. I will say this going forward, and I believe this. I don't believe offensive line is a transfer portal. The teams that do the best in it are going to be living in the transfer portal. I still think that's the one position where You've got to recruit and develop tons of high school studs. We shall see. Daniel Sanchez has it. There are a lot of people comfortable taking shots a day right now, people who aren't any good. So we'll see. I feel like I can do it. It's kind of like one of those things where you'd be arguing with your buddy, and then someone you don't know says something to him, and you turn to him like, what are you talking? And then it's you on them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, well, the good thing for Ryan Day is like everybody talks about, and rightfully so, his record against top 5 teams. Tell you what, he's got a chance to go to Penn State this week and beat a top 5 team. Ohio State's favored by 3.5. I think that's partially because of the Aller injury, but I've watched them a lot. Their backup quarterback who might be starting, I don't know, maybe Aller will play. Bo Prabula is actually pretty good. Now, he's a run-first quarterback. He hasn't thrown the ball that much this year, but he has a high completion percentage. So he's got like a good quarterback rating, but I think he's thrown the ball like 22 times all year, 28 times all year, something like that. But he can run. Ohio State's had trouble with running quarterbacks. So we'll see, but Ohio State favored by 3.5. We'll see if Ryan Day can get that monkey off his back. All right, let's switch gears. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Like, when we talk about targeting, it's one of the very rare things, maybe the only thing I think everybody in college football is like, yeah, they're not going by the spirit of the rule. It's ridiculous. In sports, to get kicked out of a game, think about what you have to do to get kicked out of a game in a sporting event, right? Usually I throw a punch or something. We're kicking Arvell Reese out for a perfect defensive play. And, Dan, I've said this before. I almost give the field officials a pass because even live, I was like, oh, crap, here comes the flag for because he flew in there. You can't really tell. It's a violent sport. Arvell Reese is a big, strong, fast dude. I get it. Live, it's hard to tell. There's no excuse for the replay official to miss that. And they took 10 minutes to then still get it wrong. But beyond that, you have every coach out there, basically every athletic director, saying like, okay, we got to do something about this. Commissioners, then do something about it. I've never seen anything where every power broker in the world's like, yeah, we got to do something about this. They're not going by the spirit of the rule, which is if someone's going out there trying to decapitate somebody, get them the hell out of there. Okay, if it's a football play, there's incidental contact. That was never the spirit of the rule. They've got to do something about it.
Here's my Buck Nutter comment first. Does it seem like every time the refs gather together, we get screwed? Every time. I was at a soccer game over the weekend of my son, and there was a penalty, and the refs got together, and I yelled out, targeting! Because I just assumed if any sport, anyone gets together, anything I'm affiliated with is going to get screwed.
I should have done that at tennis games or tennis matches this year.
I do it. It's just ridiculous. Once they gather together, I'm like, it's going to be against us.
She hit the ball and hit the other girl. Oh, targeting. Kick her out.
I was already forced to the stands by the ref. My friend was getting on him, and then I don't do well. When refs start giving you the ego trip, I have an issue with that, and I tend to come back, and it doesn't go well. Shocker for anyone from the mean streets of Oakwood. Anyway, I believe me, I'm at a loss for words. Anyone who knows me knows that's something. I'm out. I'm done with it. There's nothing I can say. Even in the goofy NFL where you don't know where it's a catch is a catch, I'm usually pretty good at being like, okay, with these slow-mo space needle cameras they have now, I can see that's a catch. I can see that's not 100% of the time. With targeting, you could show me 10 like in a lineup, and I would let the murderer go free because I would not know what's going on.
But you do know when it should be, no doubt.
I get that. What happens is if enough times your eyes are deceived, you then start to question your eyes. That's what I'm saying. I hear what
you're saying.
I'm chasing my tail.
The solution to me is easy. It's easy. We're making this too complicated. Go with the spirit of the rule. And anybody who's watching this, especially when replay, as you mentioned, there's a dozen different camera angles, high definition, slow motion. It's easy to get this right. You can determine if you're anywhere competent at your job as a replay official, you can determine 100% of the time if you think a guy's launching and trying to go for the head and trying to take a guy out, which that is why they put the rule in for player safety, or if it's just like incidental contact, they might graze helmets, whatever you want to say is incidental contact that's not the spirit of the rule. Go with the spirit of the rule. We have a lot of calls that are subjective anyway, including that one. Just make it even more subjective.
You know how they say you can call holding on every play?
Yeah.
If you slow down the camera and look around the field, you can call targeting probably on every other play.
Right.
There's head-to-head contact all over the field. You can't. There also has to be some common sense involved here. If someone's running at you and the last second you put your head down, I don't understand how that's targeting. And that happens all the time. It's usually I'm not. See, I have enough stuff to get fired up about this team than rules that are ruining the sport.
Well, this is why I'm glad it's not. I do like talking about this stuff like after a win because It's not like it's not like sour grapes or anything, right? Like, oh, that's why Ohio State lost to Nebraska, favored by 25.5 because of the bad targeting. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, and yeah, do we have PTSD from all of the terrible calls we see, not just targeting? Yes, we do.
I do.
So the Marvin one still just pisses me off to no end. That was the spirit of the rule, to the point where Marvin got knocked out cold on the field and then couldn't play again. Okay, that guy was definitely going after his neck and head, definitely head hunting. Called targeting on the field, and that gets reversed. Give me a break. And there's been others. The Sean Wade, that was not targeting. And it wasn't even called targeting on the field, Sean Wade against Trevor Lawrence. They blew down, and now we know why, because that replay official is either the most incompetent replay official ever, or he was on the take. I guarantee it's one of those two things because of what happened later with the fumble that was absolutely a fumble, called a touchdown on the field. That same guy blew down and reversed that call. Unbelievable. We've got to do something about it. It's unbelievable. All right, let me do our second read, then we'll get to more stuff here. All right. Let's make a smooth transition from getting mad at targeting to talking about sex. That's what we do on the Bucknuts Morning 5. I think I speak for most men when I say we want to have better sex. And for the sake of our partner, we may need to have better sex. The issue is that over-the-counter pills contain unregulated chemicals, suggest unsafe doses, and include the risk of several other health problems. That's why we partnered with our friends over at Joy Mode. Whether you're looking to spice up your intimate moments or increase your confidence in the bedroom, Joy Mode makes all natural and science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. Here are the game changers. All ingredients have been assessed in peer-reviewed journals. All ingredients have been studied and researched in humans. Go to tryjoymode.com/bucknuts. Get 20% off with code Bucknuts at checkout. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Bucknuts at tryjoymode.com/Bucknuts. Great sex solved naturally. And I think they're also very much against the targeting penalty the way it's ruled in college.
They're in favor of targeting. Just different.
Hey, I'll have a lot of joy in my life if they can do something about the targeting penalty. Kind of put you on the spot here, but recruiting, I mean, I know you guys are going to get into it tomorrow, but anything that piqued, it was a big recruiting weekend. We had the dean on the post-game show. Anything that like piqued your interest recruiting wise, Dan?
Oh yeah. Jakeem Stewart was in town. The massive defensive tackle. What the Lord, tackle. I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but reminded us a little bit of Chris Jones when he was a youngster, has reclassified. Not even playing football this year. Transferred to a school in New Orleans that doesn't have football and is picking out a college destination. Spent a lot of time with his host, Tavian St. Clair. I like to hear that. So that was the biggest name of the weekend that we'll be focused on. The dean, of course, will have all of your information coming. And we're going to have a great promo coming this week. Half off as we get ready for Penn State. So those of you who are not subscribed to Bucknuts, we're going to have a half off sale, meaning you get 6 months of premium coverage for free. So make sure you get that.
Nice.
Carl Price knows Joy Mode could be targeting for sure.
Oh yeah. Our boy Patrick Murphy will tell you all about that. In fact, oh gosh. Jesus. Okay, Pat, I get it, man. Jeez. Sean on Facebook. Do you see any scenario where Ryan Day is not the coach next year? Like if he loses to Penn State, Indiana, and possibly that team up north? That would do it.
Yeah, it would.
I think there's a 99% chance Ryan Day is going to be the coach next year. You want to say what would lead to him getting fired? That them going 8-4, barely beating Nebraska, losing to Michigan for the fourth straight time, especially this Michigan team in the horseshoe. Yeah, that would do it, right?
Well, keep in mind, going into that game, if you've already lost to Penn State and Indiana, yikes. I mean, they will need a security detail. You know what I mean? That would be terrible. I can't see that happening, though.
No.
Right now.
No, what's your? I've watched a lot of Penn State, like I said, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Aller, but I don't think, and that's probably why Ohio State is favored by 3.5. I thought maybe Ohio State would be favored, but not by 3.5. Not like they're favored by that much, but I wonder if that's why Ohio State's favored by 3.5 is because there's questions about Aller. But I don't think that's going to hurt Penn State as much as maybe people think. And I really like Penn State's new offensive coordinator. I know it's a low bar, Dan, because they have not been an innovative offense at any point during James Franklin's tenure, but this is by far the most innovative offense they've had. They got the offensive coordinator from Kansas. He's really good. Kansas is taking a hit without him. This is going to be a legit tough game, as we all know. And it's even, thank goodness it's at noon, but it still will be a raucous environment out there.
Look, this game is going to be a referendum on the offensive line. If you look at Penn State's team, probably the strength of their team is up front on defense. And Abdul Carter is the most well-known guy, but they got studs. And the tight end has gathered a lot of press and is a really good player. But defensively, they have pros up there. So unless there's a good plan, and nothing would surprise me we're to the point now where nothing would surprise me. They could go lose to Penn State. They could go blow Penn State out. They could go win in a close game. Anyone who says they know what's coming, they know better than me. There are people who probably really know inside, but those are coaches and parents. Nothing would surprise me. They could look. I don't know. I'm flummoxed. I'm telling you, this past game. I do accept the fact that they were coming off a bye, and it was a look-ahead game. And yes, Nebraska could not play as poorly as it played against Indiana the week before when they lost by 49 points. And Nebraska, the strength of their team, NFL prospect-wise, is the defensive line. Still, I don't know. And the defense, look, the defense is okay. Does anyone think we could get into a game with a big-time elite offense and give up less than 30 points? I do not. So you're going to need 40 points to win the national championship probably. Davis and Igbinoza needs a primer on what the rules are. Enough, dude. Yeah. Enough grabbing dudes and celebrating. How about you make a few plays? Enough. Right. I've had enough. No more. To me, I think there should be grounds for expulsion of any player who's celebrating a pass breakup while there's a yellow flag airborne. You're immediately gone. Out of the game. Not just him, because it happens across the board. Stop the cockiness. Stop the running your mouth. Look, play 2 games at the level you think you are. Talk all you want. If you grab a guy for 10 yards up the field, push him out of bounds, and then act like you don't know why there was a flag called, what sport are you playing?
He reminds me of Damon Arnett until Damon Arnett's final year where he actually became good and tricked the Raiders into taking him in the first round.
Good Lord.
By the way, the Raiders also took Henry Ruggs in the first round that same draft.
I think they took Clean Farrell that draft.
Farrell was their first pick, right. But, yeah, they took Ruggs and they took Arnett. Here's my point, though. Like, it reminds me a lot of Damon Arnett. It reminds me a lot of that. And, like, you're right. I hate that. I hate when a guy gets called for a penalty and is out there like he just won the Super Bowl until he sees the flag and he's all apoplectic about it. The other one I don't like. We haven't seen that this year in football. This might be my biggest pet peeve. But there's a fumble and it's rolling around.
And the guy's celebrating.
No one's recovered it yet. And there's a guy right on there, like, point like, we got it. It's like, hey, idiot. Like, how about you jump down and get the ball because it's still rolling around. Like, nobody has it. And he's like pointing like, we got it. No, you don't. Anyway.
The Bears DB, though, is going down in history. Tyreek Stevenson for what he did this weekend. You see that?
I didn't see it. What happened?
He's taunting the crowd.
That's right. Yes. And
looks up, sees the Hail Mary's coming. And he's actually the one that goes through and tips it up to
Noah Brown.
The great Noah Brown. Good to see Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin celebrating in the end zone. I wanted to say something about that. This is off topic.
That was cool. Yeah, I wasn't going to say we're not allowed to talk about the NFL today except for this.
Okay. I don't know what karma is, if that's real. What the Redskins are getting now is the opposite of that for all the years of Dan Snyder. What do you think Dan Snyder is thinking as he sees this team like with the Midas touch? You finally got the quarterback. You get every break and something like that. Whereas, and I'm telling you this, he is the worst owner there will be books that come out on this one. Trust me. They had the worst owner for 25. You think the Bengals owner is bad? Nothing compared to this.
What about Jimmy Haslam?
He's worse than Jimmy Haslam. Although the Deshaun Watson thing is a new. I love Jameis. Who doesn't love Jameis? Anyone in here not? Who doesn't love Jameis Winston in the NFL? I know I love him. But yeah, so I was happy to see Noah get that catch. And Tyreek Stevenson has already tweeted out his apology and said he's going to get better. You're not going to get another chance to make the one. That's an all-timer. You're going to be on TV forever. That clip is going to be played 1 trillion times between now and the end of time. And it's all going to be focused on you and Noah, and that Jaden Daniels has the Midas touch. But we digress. And by the way, I watched 3 YouTube podcasts on Friday. I had free time. Every single host said, but I digress. It's true. Cameron, the guy who does it with Mace, I heard some Greg McElroy did it, and those guys are polar ends of the spectrum. So I digress is taking over. Don't think it's not.
We're going to get you guys out of here on this. I talked about this on the post-game show, what we learned live. I said, do we need to put out an APB on Carson Hinsman?
You tell me, Dave.
Young man that started 12 games at center for Ohio State last year. We know there was the secret suspension in the Cotton Bowl that was not so secret, even though the company line was, oh, yeah, I was struggling with his snaps in practice. Okay, sure. Yeah. Sure. What's going on with Carson Hinsman? People are asking, is he completely out of the conversation for playing time? Probably. It sounds like it right now. Is Hinsman in the doghouse permanently? Sure seems that way.
And to be fair, Seth McLaughlin has played really well. The play I pointed out was one play, and no one's perfect.
Right. He needed other positions because Carson wasn't even a center in high school. He was a tackle, played low guard, was mostly a tackle. You're telling me he couldn't? So we're just all of a sudden Luke Montgomery's ahead of him. We have Tegra and Austin at right guard. I thought Austin was supposed to be the best backup guard, but they moved Donnie to left tackle and they put Luke Montgomery in at left guard. Like you said earlier, and everybody in the chat agreed with you. It's like find the best 5 and roll with them. You know who your center is in Seth McLaughlin. You know Donovan Jackson's going to start, and you know that Josh Fryer, whatever you think of Josh Fryer at right tackle, he's going to be a starter. Some people said maybe move Josh Fryer to left tackle, whatever. I don't think – whatever. But they've got to figure something out at left guard and right guard, though. If Donovan Jackson's the left tackle.
As the NFL scout sent to me, and we had this exact same discussion. He's like, I just don't have faith in this staff to be able to get it done. Now, this guy does tend to skew negative at times, but it's hard to argue. I mean, the offensive line cannot be the reason this team goes down. It just can't be. There's enough. Figure it out, man. Scheme it up. Do something. My only thing is maybe we need to really get the quarterback run more involved. That's the only thing I can think of when people talk about, oh, what can you do? You can really, really emphasize the quarterback run. You can really get people to go left and right better with that. Now, I thought there were at least 2 or 3 plays that Howard could have kept the ball over the weekend when he handed it off that were so obvious that I'm feeling he might be told to hand it off.
Right.
We've seen this movie before with Justin Fields, breaking case of glass, Gunnar Hoke.
Yeah, I don't think they trust Evan Brown. Yep.
Yeah, so that is goofy. Long term, can we look forward to maybe Julian saying open up the passing game next year? Sure. That ain't happening this year. That is not happening this year. So they're going to have to come up with some interesting wrinkles. Now, here's the thing. And this is a negative show, generally speaking, and they won. They're still in position to do whatever they need to do. If they go to Penn State, catch a groove, find a rhythm on offense, tackle, and there's no busted assignments. It sounds ridiculous to say this. If they just execute, and I don't even mean, like I said before, execute to the point of domination. If everyone just does what they're supposed to do, they're going to win. They have the best players for the most part. If they just get out there and execute, they'll be fine. Now, if they've got to figure out a scheme for the offense. And can we get up 14-0 in a game? Can we get up 14-0 in a game and let these guys pin their ears back? I thought Nebraska, and even Meyer said it at halftime, it felt like a bigger gap than there was because Nebraska offensively really didn't do anything in the first half. It was set up. They need to get off 14-0. That's the magic number. Just like the Cowboys. If they don't get 10 points in the first 2 possessions, it's a guaranteed loss. Some teams need to get out in front. This team, to beat Penn State, they need to get off to a good start. This is not going to be a good game like throw a 3rd and 9 in a key play, panic, and throw the ball to Travion Henderson if we never throw – I'm not a fan of the immediate screen, man. When we started out the game again with that, I was like, oh, what are we doing again?
I know.
Why are we doing this? Anyway, I'm sorry.
On 3rd and 9, no less. I know. And I know that Chip Kelly, I'm sure, was like, our offensive line's getting killed. It's 3rd and 9, but we're just going to get the ball out quick. But it's like, dude, just –
But there's other things you can do.
Throw the ball out quick with a 9-yard pass over the middle. Like,
how about roll the quarterback out and throw it to Jeremiah Smith on the wide side of the field because he's uncoverable? That's another thing that drives me absolutely crazy. If you're this is my feeling on the Arizona Cardinals and the Ohio State Buckeyes. If Jeremiah Smith / Marvin Harrison is in single coverage, throw them the ball. What are we doing? Kyler Murray does not start throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison until the game is on the line. And then he closes his eyes and chucks it up. Marvin catches it all the way down the field, and he ends up with like 7 catches. There's no law that says you can't throw to Jeremiah Smith on 1st down, 2nd down, and 3rd down. If you have the best player on the field, there were times they ran to the left. They were in the wide. He was the X receiver, or is he by himself? Who is guarding Jeremiah Smith on an out pattern if he doesn't run over the guy and get offensive pass interference incorrectly? I don't understand it. Sometimes I think we're too smart for our own good. And then we do the hubris thing where 3rd and 1, they're always smashing it up the middle to prove they're tough enough. It doesn't work anymore. Stop. Be creative. It's driving me crazy. All right. Too much coffee.
Great stuff from Dan Rubin. Dan, look at this. Do you see the live audience? How many people? Do you see this number here? Top of the screen?
Wow. Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty good. We appreciate you guys very much. And we appreciate everybody listening to the podcast only version, AKA the replay of the show, if you will. But look at this live audience we have. And thank you to all the comments and the questions. We love you guys. Great stuff from Dan. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.